Okay, so today we are going to talk about project management processes. So first of all, let's look at why we need to talk about project management processes. So what are processes? So last week we discussed mainly about project phases, isn't it? So don't, these processes are not the same as phases. There's a main difference between processes and project management processes and phases, although the terms may somewhat similar. There's a strong difference. Okay, so you need to understand that first. So why do we need to talk about project management processes? Mainly because all the 10 knowledge management areas, you can see these processes. Okay, so within each and every knowledge management area, so there were 10 knowledge management areas. So if I list down one by one here, so you can see these 5 processes inside in each and every project management knowledge area. So what are the main project management knowledge areas? Main 3, which are actually becomes the constraints of a project. They are cost, time, and scope. So those are the main 3 project knowledge management areas. So other than that, there are 7. Okay. So I think you may remember, and today also we'll be revising them. So the main reason why we need to discuss about project management processes is that. So in each and every knowledge management area, what we are doing is these 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 processes. So what is a process? So the main, what is the main difference between project phases and these processes I'll be discussing in coming slides. Okay. So what's a process? Process is a series of actions directed toward a particular result. So we do something to achieve some result. So that's the general definition of a process. Okay. So in project management, we can see it as several processes. We do a series of actions directed towards particular results. Okay. So for a particular result, we do certain processes. So likewise, there are several results. We do several processes specific to those particular results, expecting those particular results. So, so these project management knowledge groups, all knowledge groups include these 5 processes: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. So those are the main 5 processes which will be repeated in each and every, which will be repeated done in each and every knowledge management area. So, so if you look at the life cycle of a project, so this is the life cycle. So what are the main phases? Initiation, planning, implementation, and close out. So those are the normal project phases which we discuss in software engineering as well. Okay. So in these 4 phases, so how does this processes are carried out? So in each and every phase, you can see these 5 processes are repeating. Okay, there are initiating processes, there are planning processes, and there are what are the other things? Executing processes, there are monitoring processes, and closing processes. So these 5 things are repeating in each and every phase. Okay, so that's the main difference. So these phases have a very big difference from the processes. There are only 4 phases we discussed last week in the project. So in the process groups, we have 5 process groups. Okay. So these 5 process groups are normally repeated in each and every phase of a project. In the life cycle, we have phases in a project. So those are the initiation, planning, implementation, and close out. So in these phases, these 5 processes are repeatedly carried out. Okay. So that's the main difference. So you can't compare these phases with process groups. They are independent processes. These two are independent. So if you compare initiation phase with this initiating process group, it's quite different. Okay. So this initiation refers to the initiation phase of a software project. Okay. So the other initiating processes you can see repeating in each and every phase of a project. So that's the main difference. Are there any questions? So if there are any questions, please let me know. So, so each phase can be considered as a sub-project within which all management processes occur. So you can see repeatedly all the 5 process groups occur in each and every phase of a project. So that is actually indicated here. So there are 5 phases, 5 process groups. So all the 5 process groups need to be included in this cycle. Okay. So if I draw it like this, I think it would be clearer for you. So if this is the project life cycle, and if these are the major phases, this is the initiating phase, and this is the planning, implementation, and closeout. So those are the main phases in the project life cycle. And during this initiation phase, all these 5 processes are carried out. Okay. I can't use the whiteboard today. It's not working. So sorry. So, so like this, all the 5 process groups repeat. So likewise, here also the 5 process groups repeat. And here also the 5 process groups repeat. So in each and every phase, you can see these process groups repeating. So now we are going to look at, so these are the 5 main processes. So the level of activity of these 5 processes over time. Okay. So in each and every phase of a project, these 5 processes appear, as I told you. Okay. So as an example, initiation phase. Okay. So there are initiating processes happening. Okay. And there are planning processes happening. So how can planning processes appear in initiation phase of a project? So this is the project initiation. So that's the phase. Okay. What you know, what you're talking, software engineering, project initiation. So in that process, so until we start planning, so these 5 processes happen, as I told you. Okay. So, so the first thing we do is we do the initiating processes. So in initiating processes, what can you do actually? You can develop the all the planning, not planning actually. You can check whether doing the project is feasible, and you can look at who are the team members going to be there and who are the stakeholders. So likewise, there are some initiation processes happening here. Okay. Secondly, planning process group. So in initiate, after we finish initiate process, normally planning process happen. So you can see initially the level of activity of the initiation activity is high when you compare with the other. So if you draw a line here, so from start to here, there's no other process happening, and the only process which is happening is initiating process. It's somewhere like this, if you mark it here. Okay, the initiating process which is happening. So after that, planning processes happen. So what do you do here in project initiation? What do you plan in project initiation, isn't it? So it's a problem if you think. So in project initiation also, so there are certain activities we are going to carry out in initiation. Now we are going to select team, and we are going to look at who is going to be responsible for the project, the main project phases. So likewise, we are trying to look at the number of people we are going to hire, basic things we are doing there. Try to find the requirement of a project and the budget. So all of those things are looked at in initiation phase. So in this initiation phase, so we need to plan how we are going to carry out those initiation activities. Okay, so it's not something planning the project, whole project. Okay. So it's about planning the things carried out at the project initiation phase. Okay, here. And executing process group, what do we do in project initiation phase is actually in project initiation, activities are carried out during this execution process. Okay. In monitor and controlling process, what we do is, so we check whether we are on the track. So what's the meaning of we are on the track? We are checking whether we are doing the things correct. So as we have planned in this phase. Okay. So I think you have some idea, but it's better if I could explain it with this whiteboard. Smartboard is not working currently, and there's no one in the faculty department. Okay, so I'll try to draw. So if yeah, I will get the whiteboard and try to explain this. Okay. So in a project, okay, you have phases, you know that. So this is the initiation phase, planning phase, implementation phase, and close out. Okay. So this is the initiation phase. So as I told you in project initiation phase, so this is the whole project, and project initiation phase. So these 5 processes are carried out. Okay. So these 5 processes are carried out. So in this initiation phase. So in this first process, what do? We do initiating processes in the initiation phase. Okay. And in the second process group is planning processes. These planning processes only is relevant to this initiation phase. So in this initiation phase, we need to plan how we are going to carry out the things we do in the initiation phase. Okay. And thirdly, execution processes, what does it do? So in the executing processor, what do we do is actually, we do the initiation tasks. So here we initiate the phase during this process. And during this process, using this process group, what we do is we plan how we are carrying out the activities in this phase. Okay. And thirdly, in execution, what we do is we look at how we are going to execute the initiation activities in the initiation phase. So in the fourth phase, we monitor and control whatever we do in this process initiation phase. And in fifth, the closeout processes. So we close out all the activities related to this initiation phase. So likewise, the same thing, same process groups apply here also. However, they are specific to the particular phase. So this is the planning phase of the project. Okay. So in that planning phase, what do? We first, in initiation processes, we look at what are we going to plan. Okay. And secondly, in the planning processes, we look at how are we going to plan. Okay. So planning the planning things. So how do we going to do this planning? What methods are you going to use to plan? Who are the people involved in the planning process? This group of people are going to develop this plan. This group of people are going to develop software stakeholder management plan. So likewise, different plan, which are the plans are decided in the initiation process. And the secondly, all the things which we carry out during this phase, only in this phase, are planned here. Okay. And in third process group, which is monitoring and controlling, which occurs in each and every phase, look at whether we are on the plan. Okay, are we following the plan? So if we are deviating from the plan, so that is done by controlling. Monitoring, by monitoring, we are looking at the gap between the plan thing and the actual thing. Okay, so that's the deviation. So we monitor the deviation from our initial plan. Okay, so so in this planning phase, what we are actually looking at is, so we have a set of people who are responsible for each and every plans. So are we carrying out the plan correctly during the time period we wished? We wish that within 1 month we develop the project plan, whole project plan. Okay. So in that one, so let's say in 1 week, we are developing the project stakeholder management plan. So in next week, we develop the project procurement plan. So these are the people who are involved in that. Okay. So are we following the timeline? So are all the people are involved in as we have planned in this phase? So that is monitored in this third phase, third process group. So that's the monitoring and controlling process group. Okay. So in there, we do some specific things, particularly to the specific phase of the project. And in the fifth one is the closing. So in execution, we do this. And in fourth process group, which is monitoring and controlling, we check whether are we following our plan we derived here in the second process group. Okay, so if there are any deviations, we need to control them. Otherwise, we may not be able to meet our expectations at the end of the day, okay? Day or at the end of the time period. So fifth is the closing processes. So at the end, we would be finalizing every plan. So since this is the planning phase, and closing out that phase. So, so this is the execution phase of a project. So in the execution phase also, these 5 process groups repeat, okay? So in that 5 process groups, we initially, in the first process group, we check whether what need to be carried out. So likewise, the initiation processes are carried out in the first phase in execution phase, okay? So in project execution, what are we going to plan? What are we going to plan in execution? So in execution, we plan how we are going to carry out the execution activities, okay? So now, since we have finished our project planning phase, we have a very good set of plans developed, okay? So we don't need to plan the project, but here what we are planning is actually this execution phase only. How we are going to carry out the execution phase, okay? So specific things related to execution phase are decided in these planning processes of the project execution phase. And in execution, so here in the third process group, so we execute the project. We really do whatever we need to do. And in the fourth one, it's a continuous process starting from here to here. So if you look at the activity in the slideshow, you can see it's a continuous process. So monitoring and controlling from the start of the project to the end of the project, we need to monitor and control whether we are following the plans. So if there are any deviation, we need to control the deviation. Otherwise, we would not be able to meet our deadlines on time, deadlines and other restrictions. So, and the requirements. So that's what we do here, monitoring and controlling processes. So in the 5th phase, we do the close out, where we would finish everything related with the execution phase. So likewise, so this is the final phase, which is the close out. So in close out also there are these 5 process groups are actually carried out. In close out, we need to do the initiation process. So we need to identify what we are going to do. Secondly, we need to plan how we are going to do the processes identified in this closing out phase. And thirdly, we need to carry out those closing out phase processes. And fourthly, we need to monitor whether we have done it correctly, whether we have done them according to our plan. So at last, we need to close out everything, close out the phase actually, which we are talking about here. So in the execution phase, we have closed out the project, okay, here. So during this phase, our main responsibility is the closing out. So it is very well managed from using these 5 process groups. I think now you have some idea about the difference between these project phases and process groups of a project. Okay, so I'll stop this share and start sharing my slideshow. So here now you can see the duration of these process groups in each and every phase. So in a single phase, the most of the time is consumed for execution. Okay, so a little bit of time is taken for initiating processes, and for planning processes, another some time is taken, and for closing our process is the least time taken process. So project initiation process normally is done during each phase of a project. So as I discussed earlier, in each phase of a project, we do the initiating processes like mentioned in this picture. So these project managers and teams should re-examine the business need for the project during every phase of the project life cycle to determine if project is worth continuing. So one good example of project initiation process is given here. So, so during each and every phase of a project, so in the initiation phase, planning phase, execution phase, and the closeout phase. So these are the main 4 phases. So in each and every phase, we do initiating processes and planning processes and execution processes, monitor and controlling processes, and closeout process. So likewise, it repeats in each and every process. So if you look at the planning processes in each and every phase, so in each and every phase, this repeats. Okay, one good example of one initiation process we carry out in each and every phase is this. Re-examine the business need for the project. We need to carry out that. So why we need to carry out that? Because sometimes after some time, it would not be worth continuing that project. Okay, maybe the sponsor has not got interest in that anymore. Okay, so he may not be able to fund the project. So we don't have money, so we can't continue. So likewise, there would be some reasons, some problems. So we need to identify at each and every, so initiation process of each and every phase of a project, whether to continue in the project is worthwhile or not. Okay, so the team would re-examine the business need for the project during every phase of the project life cycle to determine if the project is worth continuing. So normally, so that's a good example. So if you will be wondering what are the initiating processes which we required in this phase. So this is the closeout phase now. So what are the initiating processes? So one good example is someone may need to ensure that project team complete all the work. Okay, so that is an initiating process in closeout phase of a project. So this initiating process as the at the project initiation phase. So initiating a project includes normally recognizing and starting new project. So what we are talking about is actually this. Now we are talking about the project initiation phase, the first phase of project life cycle. Okay. So what are the initiating processes? So previously we mentioned one. What is that? So it is actually re-examining the business need of the project. So after examining the business, so here we don't need to re-examine because it is the initiation phase, we must do it. Okay. So we need to re-examine the business need. So if it's required, so we have to do it. So if it's not, we are not going to do this. So apart from that, we have to recognize and start the new project. So some of the organizations, so this depends on the organization. Some organizations need a pre-initiation phase. So there's another phase before this as well. While the others include items such as developing a business case. We need to develop the documents required, okay? Initiation documents like the business case and project charter. So likewise, there are several specific, which these documents are specific to the project. So, so these things need to be developed, okay? The main goal is to formally select and start off the project. So here, our main goal is to check whether this project is worth doing in your company. So those are the initiation processes at the project initiation phase. So what are the key outputs of the initiation process of the project initiation? So if you look at these, you can derive the outputs. So one good output is the business case. Okay. So when you develop the business case, so at the end of the initiation processes, we need to have at the end of here, we need to have the business case in our hand. Okay. The project charter in our hand. So likewise. So, so these are the examples. So we have to assign the project manager. So those are the key outputs. So we need to define the project manager at the end of the initiation process. And we need to identify who are the key stakeholders and the business case and the project charter and with the signatures. Okay, so those are the outputs, key outputs of initiating process of the initiation phase of a project life cycle. So so up to now what we have discussed is actually, so there are 4 phases in the project life cycle. Okay. So apart from this, in project management, we study about process groups. Okay. So those process groups were introduced to you. So there are 5 process groups. What are they? Initiating process groups and planning process groups, executing process groups, monitoring and controlling process groups, closing process groups. Okay. So from there to here, what we have discussed is actually how does this project process groups differ from the project phases. Okay, so that's what I have discussed so far. So further we discussed what are the activities in initiating processes of any phase. Okay. So now we are moving into another topic, which is project knowledge management areas. Last week also we highlighted that basically by the meaning of carrying out project management, so what we are doing is actually completing these activities or processes of these knowledge management areas. So that's what we do as the project management, okay? So these project management knowledge areas would describe the key competencies that project managers should follow, okay, or develop. So not 9 actually, now there are 10 knowledge areas according to this PMBOK. So few years earlier there were only 9. So in the for your seniors we discussed only 9. So now you have 10 knowledge management areas. So from them, 4 are co-identified as the 4 which is required the most. So they are scope management, time management, cost management, and the project quality management. So those are the 4 core knowledge management. Why do you say this core? Because 3 of them are actually work as the project constraints. Okay, we should meet the expectations of these knowledge management areas: scope, time, and cost. So project is identified as a successful if we meet these 4 knowledge requirements. What are the requirements? Scope requirements, time related requirements, cost related requirements, and the quality related requirements. Okay. So apart from these 4, we have facilitating knowledge management areas. So to facilitate, to achieve these goals, one should manage resources, okay, and one should manage the communications and the risk associated with the project, and one should manage the outsourcing activities of the project, or the procurement, in other words, and you should manage the stakeholders who are involved in the project. Apart from these, so we have separate knowledge management areas 9. So to integrate them, we should do integration management. Okay. So those are the main 10 knowledge management areas we'll be discussing under this topic. So normally we can map knowledge areas with initiation processes at the initiation phase. So if you look at that book, PMBOK, so you can find this as well. If you look at the recommended book, IT Information Technology Project Management, also you can see each knowledge area mapped with initiation processes. You can look at some examples. Some examples are extracted here. So project initiation management, one good example is the at initiating processes during project integration management. What we do is we can develop project chart as an initiating process, and project communications management as an initiating process. We can do identify stakeholders. So so you can see we were discussing about integration management and communication management. So in each and every project knowledge management areas, also we do these 5 process groups. We carry out these 5 process groups: initiating processes, planning processes, execution processes, monitoring and controlling processes, and closing out processes. So all of these 5 processes are repeatedly carried out to manage these 10 knowledge management areas. Okay. So what we are discussing it is actually about this integration management and communications management, this one. Okay. So in these two, what are the initiating processes which are carried out? Okay. So those are the one good example is developing the project charter in integration management and communications management, identifying the stakeholders. So after we carry out this initiation, so those are not only the good examples. You can look at the book and there are listed initiating processes for each and every knowledge management area if you refer. So what are the project initiation documents we develop? So in the initiation phase, so these are the documents which we are developing: business case and charter. Okay. So these are the specific standard documents most of these organizations or the software companies do. However, every organization, you should keep in mind, every organization has its own variations of what we discuss here. Okay. So they may prefer different things depending on their experience and requirements. Okay. However, at the initiating processes, we need to identify in the initiation phase of a project, when you are carried out initiating processes, you need to identify the need of the project, who are the stakeholders and the main goals of the project. Okay, so those are the specific requirements. So a business case would describe the need for the project and the basic underlying concepts. So what is a business case is discussed here. So business case would describe the need for the project and the basic underlying concepts. So what information is included in the business case? So have you developed a business case before? I don't think you have. You may have heard of this term. So let's today look at sample business case as well. So business case is done very early of the project. Okay. So that's why it is an initiating process activity in the initiating phase. So what are the information included in the business case? So initially we should have introduction or background about the current situation. Okay. And then your objective need to be written down. So this is a very unclear document. I mean, unclear means not physically unclear. The things you write may be unclear if you compare the things you have at the end of the project. Okay, things are very unclear at the uncertain and unclear at the initial phase of a software project specifically. And then you talk about the objective and the current situation and problem or the opportunity. So you have to, I mean, as the sponsor side, so you have to discuss or describe, this is the situation, these are the things we have, and this is the problem or this is the opportunity we have to develop and expand. And then critical assumptions and constraints. So what are the assumptions? What are the critical assumptions we do? We assume that we can do this with this number of employees. So that is my assumption as the project sponsor. That may, I mean, when you as the software company develop my requirements, you have to consider that. Okay, so that's why initially we try to cover every information we have from this document. Analysis of options and recommendations. So these are the options we identify as the sponsor side. Okay, from the sponsor side. So these are the options we have. And we recommend we prioritize these. We like these options more than this, likewise. Okay. And you can really look at this look at this sample business case and identify these things. Budget estimated and financial analysis. So initially, this is very unclear. You may not have perfect values. So there would always be deviations from the things we planned from the beginning, okay? Budget estimate and financial analysis, and the schedule estimate. So what's the schedule estimate? We have to estimate the time as well. So what amount of time is required? And the potential risks. What are the risks associated? So initially we identify this risk. This would happen here, okay? And the exhibits. So what are the final results we require? So there's a sample business case given here. So I have talked too much. So I want you to look at these questions and write down these questions now. And I'll give you 5 minutes and show you these 2 slides, 2 minutes each. So you have to find the answers. Can you please write down these questions in your book? So the main purpose is actually this one. There's an opportunity to provide a new section on the intranet dedicated to sharing clients' project management knowledge across the organization. And the assumptions are given in this section. And the third one, identify the major risks of this project. So there's a particular section specific for risks, section number 9. There are several risks identified. The foremost risk is the lack of interest in the new system by our internal consultants and external clients. So there's a lack of interest. So that is one of the risks you need to consider when you're developing the system. User inputs are crucial for populating information into the system and realizing the potential benefits from using the system. So there are some technical risks also they have identified. Choosing the type of software used to search the system, check security, process payments, and so on. But the features of the system all use proven technologies. The main business risks, so there are three types of risks they have identified. One is related with these people and technical and business risk. Investing the time and money into this project and not realizing the project benefits. So those are the major risks. From the sponsor side, they have identified, okay? And what's the last question? What's the estimate of the cost for the entire project? So this is the budget estimate. The preliminary estimate of the cost of the entire project is this much, okay? $140,000. All right, so those are the 4 questions I mentioned and the answers taken from this business case. Now I think you have some good knowledge, good practical idea about what is a business case and what are the main parts and what information it can include. I think it is well understood by you if you read this, okay? And this, that's the first document, business case. The second document is charter, business charter, or project charter. Project charter is the document that recognizes the project. So this is a document which you would display in the notice board of your company, okay? So it will show the existence of the project and it will provide directions on the project's objectives and the management. So, so here, these are the information included. The title of the project, the start date and the finish date, and who is the project manager, and what are the objectives in very short summarized form, and the approach you are following. So this way we are going to do this. So I'll show you sample. And the roles and responsibilities. So who is responsible of what? Is given in this section specifically. So it's a very initial document So you may not be able to see very descriptive activities and the responsibilities taken by those people. And sign off. So in this sign off section, each and every person who is involved with the project should sign and show they are part of this project. And at last, finally, if there are any comments that the public need to know, or other people, employees in your company need to know, you can mention that in the comment section. Okay, I think I have a charter here. I don't have specific sample of a project charter here, but I think in our next lecture, we are discussing about a sample of a charter, okay? So now we have discussed mainly about two major outputs of initiation phase. The first one is business case, and the main components, I think you have studied very well with the sample. And the second one is project charter. In that, I don't have a sample here. However, the main subtopics included in that document is these are, okay? So next week we'll have a look at the sample charter as well. So now we are moving to the second, the planning, project planning. So in project planning phase, actually we are guiding the execution. So, so what are the project planning processes at the planning phase? So these are actually planned: the team contract, the scope statement, the work breakdown structure, and the project schedule in the form of a Gantt chart with all the dependencies and resources entered, and the list of prioritized risks. So these are the major processes or process outputs which we receive at the end of the planning phase, okay? So we would develop the team contract, the contract with the team, agreeing to follow the guidelines and also their responsibilities. So they are presented as a contract. And the scope statement, there we present our scope, mainly identified the whole scope, preliminary scope statement. So this is what we are going to do, and this is our main aim, and these are the objectives. So, so that is specified in this document. And the work breakdown structure. So, so this is a specific document which will show you all the work that is carried out in the project. Okay. So in each and every phase, specifically to achieve a certain deliverable, also to develop a certain deliverable, there are a set of activities we do. Okay, we divide that into certain layers of activities, and by carrying out each and every activity in each and every layer, we'd finally be targeting, achieving our targeted expectations. Okay, so that is a document like that. So all the work that need to be carried out is broken down into specific sections. So it's something like this. You will develop that in project scope management. So assume that we have 3 deliverables, D1, D2, or modules, D3. Okay, so to develop this deliverable 1, we need 3 modules, sub-modules. SB M1, sub-module 1, M2, M3. And to do these sub-modules, we need to carry out another set of activities. Maybe another sub-sections, maybe section 1, section 2, section 3, or subcomponent 1, or subcomponent 2, and subcomponent 3 likewise. So to develop these subcomponents also, you need to carry out certain activities. Likewise, we break down all the work that need to be done in a project using this work breakdown structure. you will be developing this, and at the end of this course, you will have the skill to develop the real work breakdown structure for your own software project. Okay. So, and the project schedule. So it's normally we develop a Gantt chart for that. So it dependencies and resources centered and the risks identified. Okay. So at the planning process, at the end of the planning phase in the project, so you know, this is the initiating phase and the planning phase, execution phase, and the closing out phase. So, so this is the planning phase. So at the end of the planning phase, we should have this set of outputs. Okay, team contract, a scope statement developed, work breakdown structure, a project schedule. So these, all of these are plans actually, if you look at. Okay, so you look at the work breakdown structure, it will show you all the works broken down into pieces and the final document. So you're doing that. We are doing that in certain steps. So, so this is some kind of plan, isn't it? Scope statement is also the plan of the scope. Project schedule is again the time plan, isn't it? In other words. Okay. So you can map these project knowledge management areas with planning processes we have discussed. So there are a few shown here, and you can see more in the PM book and PM project management body of knowledge, which is published by Project Management Institution, and also this from the recommended book. Okay, Information Technology Project Management by Kathy. So these are specific knowledge areas mapped with planning processes. So in integration management, the planning processes, one of the planning processes are develop project management plan. Project scope management, collect requirements and define the scope and create WBA. So at the end of doing these planning processes, we should have these outputs: scope statement, specifically scope statement, and project breakdown, work breakdown structure. Because we define the scope, so the output would be scope statement. We create the WBS, so the final output would be work breakdown structure. In time management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate the activity resources and estimate activity durations, okay, and develop schedule. So the scope statement, one of the main output of this process. So you can see now what we did actually is we identified the project initiation documents and we had a look at these things. Okay. And now we are going to discuss about project planning phases, and we are going to look at few of these things. For scope statement include products scope description. Apart from you may think that you are only developing a document which includes scope details. Not only that, actually we need the user acceptance criteria. How we are going to accept the product with the user in the user side as a sponsor, and details information on all the project deliverables. So in the about the deliverables also, what are the real expectations? All the required information need to be included in the scope statement. And also information on project boundaries. So in the scope itself, there are boundaries. So you have to identify them, discussing with your sponsor. So up to this extent, with these characteristics, we are developing the deliverable. Otherwise, if you don't identify these project boundaries, what would happen is the customer may require more things and you don't know you have, because you have not identified these characteristics. So here you can see the importance of verification process also. So after you develop this scope statement, you need to verify it with the sponsor side. So otherwise there would be again some problems appearing at the end, because users' requirements are not well understood in the scope statement. So there would be some problems with the expectations user have and what you provide, okay? And the constraint and assumptions also need to be identified in the scope statement. So always there are different versions of project scope statement coming because you know this is a continuous process. So always there are problems with the initial documents because they are very unclear and the things are not specifically written at the initial phase. So those are the problems. So this is an example project work breakdown structure. So this is actually the tabular form of the work breakdown structure. So this is normal development method, like a tree-like structure. So here the same thing is written in a tabular form. So this is an example for Gantt chart. I think you have developed Gantt charts in other courses as well. So here also you can use Windows Project software to develop Gantt charts. Windows Project would help you to do many things, many planning things which we discussed in this course. I will upload a tutorial for you to familiarize with the software to some extent. And I'll try to give a brief introduction about developing these things because there's no practical component associated with this particular subject. However, I will introduce you those software as well when required. Okay. So this is a sample baseline Gantt chart. Not only the Windows project, there are many good other software which would help you to develop a good Gantt chart. So, so up to now, we have discussed about project process groups of project management. So now on, we are moving to a different topic, okay, about project scheduling. So this is something not related with project management processes. From here on, we are actually not discussing about project management processes. So you can read the chapter, particular chapter by this in Information Technology Project Management book. If you want more information. So we are not going to discuss about each and every processes we do in each and every phase of a project. So rather than that, in project management, we are more interested in project knowledge management areas, the 10 knowledge management areas. From next week on, we are going to discuss about one topic each week, okay? So these 10 weeks, we may take 10 weeks or more or less than 10 weeks. However, we'll be discussing particularly about each and every topic, knowledge management area, okay? So this is something not very related with this main topic we are discussing. However, this is related with scheduling, okay? So this is something which we do in this project, developing the project schedule in project planning process, okay? About this is some basic scheduling thing which we are discussing today. However, when you are discussing about project time management knowledge area, we'll be discussing further about how to develop the schedule in more detailed way. Today, we are just looking at this scheduling process which is carried out in this project planning phase, okay? The initial scheduling process. So here, not much information is included in this project scheduling. So after defining the project activities, the next step is to network scheduling. So we have identified all the things that need to be carried out. So we have the set of activities. So we develop a network diagram from using these activities. So what is this network diagram is actually the schematic display of logical relationship among the project activities, among the sequencing of these project activities. So what is activity first? We need to have the definition. So activity is an activity is something, set of processes which we do to achieve a particular result. So activity is represented as different ways in different networking. So here you can see there are two major ways of representing activity. Activity on node or activity on arrow. So this is the situation where you can see in this network diagram, activity is marked on the arrow. Okay, this is activity is used as the node itself. So those are the two main ways of representing activities in networks. So activity is considered as time-consuming thing. Okay, so it's a time-consuming effort necessary to complete a particular part of the overall project. So each and every activity would have a point of time where it begins and point where it ends. So that is indicated by these two ways. Okay, so we will use one of these two types. You should be able to use both of the types. However, so this is a situation where activities drawn on the arrow. Okay, so this is a situation where in a network you would represent an activity as the node itself. So A is called the activity and X and Y are the start and end nodes or events. So these are the end events. Y is the end event, this is X is the starting event. So what are bursts? This occurs when two or more activities follow the single node. Sorry, so this is, so that is not introduced yet. Okay. So, so in here we are only talk about the situation where the activities are represented as arrows. So activities merge when two or more nodes proceed the single node. So you can see here. So these are the nodes. So there are three nodes precede the single node. There are three nodes preceding node K. So these are the activities A, B, and C. A starts here and ends here. B starts here and ends here. C starts here and ends here. Okay. So what are the preceding activities? So in the previous slide we so here, these are the bursting activities. Occurs when two or more activities follow a single node. From after this time point, three activities are starting at the same time. So these three are bursting from this time point or this node, okay? And the preceding activities, activities which must be accomplished before a given node or event. So these are the preceding activities of event K. A, B, C are the activities which must be accomplished before a given node. So before K, A, B, and C activities need to be accomplished or completed. So those are the preceding activity. They are preceding, okay? And succeeding activities which cannot be accomplished until an event occurs, okay? So if I draw an activity here, another activity here, D, activity D. Can I start activity until I come to point K? Yes, after I come to point K, only I can start this activity D. So activities which cannot be accomplished until an event occurs is called the succeeding activity of K. D is the succeeding activity of K. A, B, C are preceding activities of K. Concurrent activities are activities which can be accomplished concurrently. A, B, and C are concurrent activities. Okay. At the same time, I can carry out these three. And dummy activities are also drawn in diagrams using arrow like this. So those dummy activities are certain activities which need consumes time or resources, but are used to simply used to represent a connection or link between events as dummies. So there are no time or resource requirement. It is main purpose to maintain uniqueness in the numbering system. So, and the second one is to maintain proper logic in the network. So that is for the use for the networking purpose. Okay. So that's a dummy activity which should not have any time or resource requirement. And before you start drawing network diagrams, I'd like to introduce you some common errors you can do in network diagrams. So the one error is looping or cycling. So you are not drawing cycles like this in diagram. So if you compare this with this, you can see the arrows build up a cycle. So this should be never ending. You have to, if you do this, you have to do this and do this likewise. However, if you look at this, you finish this, and you can proceed. So here you are looping inside, here you can proceed. And so looping need to be avoided, and also dangling to disconnect an activity before the completion of all the activities. So if you, as an example, if you look at activity D, this is dangling, okay? Before the completion of all the activities, these activities is disconnected, okay? This is there. So you should not have such activities in your diagram. And the redundancy, you can see this node is redundant because it is connected by a dummy activity. So you don't need to repeat the same not activity node or time point, okay? Okay, so that is project scheduling. We discussed here in project planning about project schedule. In initial steps we do in project scheduling. So later I have some good examples for this. So this is what which I told you that is not very I mean relevant to the flow. However, you need to do this because it's one of the main components which we do in planning phase. Okay. Constructing the network. So I'll do one of these example and then move to this the other main processes we do in other knowledge management area, not knowledge management, each phases. Okay. So we now have discussed two processes, initiating processes and planning processes. Now we have to discuss about the other processes as well, executing processes and others, okay? Risks and so on. So let's discuss one example network construction here. So then after that, you can do the rest of the example at home because I have given you the answer as well. So construct a network for the project whose activities and their precedent relationships are given in the following table. So you are given with the activities and the immediate predecessor. So, so you are drawing an activity on no arrow diagram. So these are the arrows, activities are on arrows. So, okay. So if you carefully look at this table, what you can do is actually identify firstly the activities which do not have any predecessor. So these are independent activities. It does not depend on any other activity before. Okay. So I have identified A, B, C as activities which you can start independently. So you start them, okay? You start the activity A, B, and C since it does not have any dependency with the previous activities. So after that, you can have a look at the other activities. If you look at activity D, it can only be started after A. This activity D, you can start only after A, okay? And activity C, you can only start after activity E. Likewise, you can continue drawing this diagram. Activity F, you can start after B and D, okay? B and D both need to be finished to start activity F. Again, if you look at next one, B and D both activity need to be finished to start activity G, okay? And E and F both need to be finished. Let's see, E and F both need to be finished to start activity H. So this H. Okay. And A need to be finished to start activity I. And E and H need to be finished to start activity J. And E and F need to be finished to start activity K. So I'll start drawing it here. So A, B, and C can be started after the first time point. So this would be A, this would be B, and this would be C. So activities are drawn on the arrow. So these activities end up at certain time points which are marked with this node. Activity D need to be started after activity A. So this is activity D. And activity E need to be finished after activity C. Okay. And activity F need to be started after B and D. Both B and D need to be finished. So D is here, B is here. So I can't draw circular activities. So what I would do is I will erase this and extend this arrow to this point. And now I can draw F and G. Okay. This is F, this is G. So likewise, you can continue and draw and finish your diagram. You can have a start here, have the start here, and the end you can have the finish. And you can number them if you want, okay? So there are other examples given here. Normally in the classroom we do this and I help individually. So we don't have that facility when you're doing online. So if you have any problems, you need to email me or ask me next day, okay? Okay, I'll try to do a few more slides. So now what I'll just revise what I have done discussed so far. So first we discussed about the main difference between project management process groups and phases, okay? And then we discussed about each and every phase and process groups. So that was what we were doing. And then particularly in each and every process group, we discussed about some outputs. Okay, in initiating process, the initiating outputs, we discussed both about business case and project charter. And then in this planning phase, the main outputs in the planning phase. We discussed specifically about scope statement, work breakdown structure, and the project schedule. Okay. And now we are going to discuss about these prioritized risks. So this is the document, sample document of prioritized risks. So the risks are identified and prioritized. A ranking is given. So the rank 1 is the lack of inputs from internal consultants. So you can see this is related with the business case, sample business case which we have discussed earlier, this one. So it's this same project. So I think you can remember the risk identified risks included this, yes, risk as lack of interest in the new system by our internal consultant. That's the foremost risk. Okay. So that is that has the rank 1 because of that reason. And second one is lack of inputs from client representatives. Likewise, there's a ranking given. So depending on the priority. Okay. So the executing processes, so that's about planning processes, and the executing processes would include coordinating people and other resources to carry out the various plans and produce the deliverables, services or results. So what are the examples for outputs? Processes: acquiring and developing the team, performing quality assurance, distributing information, and managing stakeholder expectations. So those are some executing processes we do in the executing phase. So if you manage, map these processes, which knowledge management areas, you can map directing and managing project execution to the integration management. And you can map perform quality assurance to the quality management knowledge area. So likewise, you can map each and every process which we discussed into integration management. So there are only few examples given. If you want to look at all the executing processes which can be mapped to knowledge area, you can refer that particular chapter in the IT software information technology project management book by Kathy. Okay. So project execution normally takes the most of the time, you know. So from the previous table I showed you, I think you understood that. It requires most of the resources as well. And it's the most important part, time consuming and the most resource consuming and the most important part. Okay. So the project manager should use their leadership skills to handle these handle the challenges at this particular phase, mainly because it involves many people's work and involves more time. Okay. So they are also monitoring and controlling process need to be carried out very carefully to find out if you are deviating from what is expected. Okay. The milestone report, you can keep focus on completing major milestones by using a milestone report, milestone plan actually. So from that, you can have some type of guidance. So this is a milestone report. You can see the milestones listed on the left column and the expected date of meeting the milestone and the current states and the responsible person is given. Okay. So by tracking this, you can actually look at the progress of the project. Okay. So which milestone have been finished, which is delayed. Likewise, you can have a look at the progress of the project using a milestone report. So this is again a part of completed milestone report. You can see the date and the status and the comment as well. So they have completed. Erika is the responsible person and her comment is went well. Okay. And list of prioritized risks, you can see the comment is reviewed with sponsor and team. So they required some changes. So they reviewed it with sponsors team. So the survey in executing, there need to be a survey done. They have planned an activity like that. So the issue or the comment is poor response so far. Okay, so I think I'll stop the lecture from now on, and I'll discuss about monitoring and controlling and closing next week. Okay, very few slides left in this topic. Okay, it's nearly 8:55. I think you have another lecture at 9 o'clock. So I'll stop the lecture now. If you have any problems, you can ask me.